Oh, why you no game? Megaman Legends ReDig. Hello out there, all you wonderful people. This is Andre, the Game Idea Guy, and thank you very much for tuning in to another episode of Why You Know Game. This one entitled Megaman Legends ReDig. And obviously you see gameplay footage from Megaman Legends 2 on the screen, which was on the original PlayStation. I obviously used the emulator to record this because I don't have a capture card, so it was my only choice if I wanted to record gameplay of this game for you guys, so I could use it for this episode. But I've like thought about this for a while, and like, why hasn't Capcom actually done this? And that is to make and remaster. I mean, they want to remaster and spree anyway. Make a Mega Man Legends Collection and remaster the games. There's actually 3 games in this series. You have Mega Man Legends, or on N64 was Mega Man 64, and the dungeons were slightly, I think there were some things that were slightly moved around. It was either items or dungeons were slightly moved around in that version. It's not too different. Then you have the Misadventures of Trombone, and then Mega Man Legends 2. That's the order that these games actually belong in. It's Mega Man Legends, the Misadventures of Trombone, and then Mega Man Legends 2. Actually, the Misadventures of Trombone comes with a demo disc of Mega Man Legends 2. I know because I have it. But that aside, that completely aside, I was thinking to myself, why hasn't Capcom gone and just like retooled, not necessarily retooled this game, but remastered this game, give it a cell shaded look, bring up the frame rate some. Well, bring it to 60 frames. I think the game is actually at 30 frames when you play it. But bring it up to 60 frames per second. Like I said, give it a cell-shaded look. I mean, all 3 games across the board. All 3 of them across the board. Give them that cell-shaded look. Bring the games up to 60 frames per second. And literally just put it out on everything on the market. 7th and 8th gen as well as PC. Put it on everything on the market. It's Mega Man, and Mega Man sells when he is actually used. And people have been begging for more like Mega Man Legends. And if you guys aren't actually going to do Mega Man Legends 3, or at least not yet, why not just say, oh, we can take Mega Man Legends 1 or Mega Man 64, whichever one you want to base the build off of. Misadventures of Trombone, and then Mega Man Legends 2, we can take all of those games. We can update the look. I mean, you can literally update the look for everything. Start off with the 3DS as your basis because you're working up from there, and then everything else should be able to run the game pretty properly. Obviously, 3DS and Wii U would have some differences to the other games because they have the additional screen available, like for inventory management or maybe weapon management for that type of stuff. But I'm getting ahead of myself here. I'm not even specifically saying anything for these 2, but put it out. Obviously, on all the home consoles and on PC, it's going to be in high definition. But you don't necessarily have to have high. It does. That's what I'm saying. Start off with 3DS as the base. That way, it's not necessarily in high def, but with everything it's ported to from that point forward, you can make the visuals look just that much better. Add in some additional effects that weren't available for the 3DS. That type of thing. But they can all have like the generally the same stylized look. And it would be cool. It'd be a good thing. Like, and it would. This is one of those things I know people would go out and buy in droves. I know people would. There's no doubt in my mind that if a Mega Man Legends collection dropped today, people would go buy it. There's no doubt in my mind that people would buy it. They could just drop it out of no one could have heard about this game being in production, and it could just drop. And people would go buy it. And what would be even better to sweeten the deal, if you're not actually going to complete Mega Man Legends 3 at this time, use the build that was coming out for the 3DS. just use that demo build after someone has completed one of the 3 games. That demo build would become available to play, and that way other people could experience what was going to happen with that game, at least even in a small amount. They could just experience that, and obviously that would show you whether or not people actually want this game, as much as I've heard Capcom has claimed before that for some reason the fans didn't want the game, despite like over 500,000 different artworks being submitted to their contest for character designs. But that's another thing that's way off from my point. I mean, it's one of those. It's Mega Man is one of those things that if you use him, he will bring you riches. He's basically a money printer. You put Mega Man on something, he prints money for it. But you have to use him right. It can't be like that Mega Man DOS game that thing is horrible. I've seen it, I haven't played it. I've seen enough of it to know I would never want to play it. Mega Man Soccer is another bad example. That was just not. It wasn't done right. People wanted it. It just wasn't done right. It could be redone. That'd be another thing that y'all could do. Redo that and actually do it the right way. Make it like a real soccer game with some Mega Man power-ups. I mean, seriously. Or hand it off to one of Nintendo's partners and let Nintendo do it. But that's something different. Another point for another time. I sit here with this thought in my mind of like, people are begging for Mega Man Legends. Mega Man Legends has been clamored for since, when did this game come out? I'm looking at the back of my case, 2000. It has been 16 years that people have been asking for Mega Man Legends 3. But they would definitely be satisfied with a remastered Mega Man Legends Collection. And that's why I said Mega Man Legends ReDig. Like, you could call the whole collection ReDig, because obviously it's a play on words for the character, like the character that Mega Man is. He's a digger, like, and he's basically a robotic Indiana Jones in this game. So not even necessarily robotic, but you know what I'm talking about. And I think that would at least tide people over for a while. You wouldn't hear people complaining about Mega Man Legends not being around, because it would be something for people to be like, oh, like that. And then on top of that, you can introduce this to newer generations of people, and they could learn how great this game is, or this game series is, and that would make it even better. In my opinion, that would make it even better. I'd also say, give the option to have the 2 different control schemes, like the classic, have a classic control scheme for those who played it on PlayStation. I don't really think you can emulate the N64's control scheme too well, but you could definitely emulate the PlayStation's control scheme. All the buttons that were there are there for pretty much every other controller out there, with the exception of the original 3DS and the PS Vita. But there are things that can be done to cover that, so it's not a big deal. It's honestly, I could see this working out really well. Like I said, give a classic control scheme, then give a more modern, updated control scheme to fit the game. But I think the classic would still probably be the better one, to be honest, because sometimes, well, no, I guess it would depend on how it was done. I gotta take that back. It would depend on how it was done. But either way, like, I'm getting off my point. A good Mega Man Legends game, not a good Mega Man Legends game, a Mega Man Legends collection would be a good thing, and it would bring in a lot of cash. I know the way I'm talking about it is pretty ambitious in scope, because then you'd have to put it, like, it would literally have to be available to everything. Well, maybe don't worry about 7th gen. Don't worry about 7th gen, because that's Honestly, with the way the companies are pulling now, they're trying to get people to get stuff to purchase 8th gen and things like that. So don't put it on 7th gen, but make sure you hit every platform for 8th gen, handhelds and home console, as well as PC. There are some people who will pick it up on multiple devices just to see the differences. But if you start off with your lowest common denominator as far as the tech is concerned, which is the 3DS and processing capability, then everything else should be fine from there. Because at that point, you're just up-resing, adding in additional effects that weren't possible on the 3DS, and then people would be happy. Because all of the games could have remotely the same performance. So that's how I was looking at it, how I was thinking about it. You guys tell me in the comments below what you think. Thank you very much for listening. Keep your eyes and ears out for more of my stuff. And until the next time, please enjoy your games and peace out.